Good morning, everybody. Welcome to episode 4 of the Builder Show, the show where we build builders. Hope y'all are having a great start to your morning so far. As always, I am co hosting with Will Patansis. Will, how are you doing?
Happy Monday, brother. Happy Monday. How was the weekend treating you guys?
Weekend's good as always. Sometimes we work, sometimes we relax. There's a little mix of both. You know how that goes.
Yeah, this weekend as I know we were talking during the week, but this week we just started developing our own sales team. So it was like a lot of back and forth, and we met some cool people, especially with the way we're going to approach sales. We're just trying to understand how everything flows from a sales perspective because I know we talked about it a few times. Being electricians, we're in a reactive market, if you notice that. As an electrician, it's very hard to sell what you do. True or not? We're waiting usually for someone to call us when something bad happens, when something used to work, now it's not working. We have a whole service department just for that. So, being an electrician, you have to figure out how to put yourself out there. You have to introduce yourself so when something bad happens, you're the first person they go to. It's almost like selling insurance now, if you think about it, because no one really is going to need us on a good day. True or not? Unless you're thinking about buying a house, you're shopping around for things. Then you have time, flexibility, and look up the electrician you want. But for the most part, we are in a reactive market. And that can be tough, especially for someone starting out. They don't know how to get their name out there. Or if someone has something broken, there's already a contractor in town that's already known for years. And you're like, how do I get involved? So we're tackling this head on. We're trying to develop a sales team. Last week was our first week in the field I was telling you about. And we're just getting all the feedback and we're trying to tweak it up for Monday coming up, and it's just been exciting. And that was teaching me and showing me this is completely different from how I operated my business last year. Because if you remember last year, I had one major contract that
Mhm.
was probably 60% of my revenue, and we lost it this year. So now losing that, I need to make up for that. So last year I was complacent. Like, oh no, we got this $1.5 million, contract coming in, and we're excited. We got nothing to worry about. Complacent, not looking for jobs, not looking for sales. Then 8 months in, we don't have it no more. And now we're like, ooh, how do we start this year off? And I think that's a good transition into the topic of what we're going to talk about today. And I can't wait to hear what you have to say about that, and how you think about that, and how you apply it to your business, to your life, but also give some tips and tricks for maybe electricians who are just listening to us. What could we do differently?
Yeah, so there's a wide range of electricians out there. Some are contractors, some are apprentices, some are journeymen, some are foremen. There's a wide range of tradesmen who are in different stages of their career, right? And I think that there are principles that apply to all of us, right? Maybe there's some things that us contractors deal with that apprentices don't deal with, or journeymen, or vice versa, right? But there are principles that apply all across the board. And for me as a contractor, I'm thinking differently than an apprentice or journeyman. So, what's the number one thing that I'm thinking about? Well, you just kind of alluded to it. I'm thinking about how can I make the business better in different ways? How can I be a better leader? How can I be a better business owner? How can I generate more revenue? How can I get more leads? How can I make more connections? So those things are in my mind all the time. And in 2026, I've already been proactive in just the past 2 weeks of the new year of doing things different, not doing things the way I did them last year. Last year, I was kind of coasting because I had it pretty good with one GC in particular, and I still do. We still have a great relationship, still have work coming in, but sometimes I got slow because I put all my eggs in one basket. And whose fault is that? It's not my GC's fault. It's my fault for not getting out there and diversifying myself.
Ooh,
Right. So that's why in my Instagram stories the other day, I talked about how I joined a homeowner association that's local to me. Met all kinds of different people in the trade industry, from builders to interior designers, realtors, GCs, other subs, right? So those are the steps I'm taking this year, is to really put myself out there in the city of Memphis, right? Memphis is a big city, to just know more people, right? Get more. My goal is to get more GCs. That's my goal. My goal isn't to be a a big time service department truck, right? I want to get more GCs and develop those relationships. And those are the things I'm thinking about all the time. Again, that's not the same thing as apprentice and journeyman, but I think if we go back to principles, how can we do better as an electrician, as a tradesman? How can we do things differently from last year, right? There's a wide range of things that we can all do better at. So what is your take so far on that?
I like that. And I think it comes down to, if you want to be a better electrician for 2026, you have to be willing to do things differently than 2025. That means your habits, and that means your mindset. Throughout the last week, we've been talking to electricians and they've been commenting on the videos talking about, hey, I don't see value in this because I'm not going to do XYZ. Hey, I don't want to get my license because I've seen electricians who have their license who do crappy work. To me, that makes no sense. One, you're shooting down an opportunity that's only going to help you. It doesn't benefit your boss, it doesn't benefit anybody else rather than you. So, yes, that's true. You may do more work or better work than somebody with an electrical license, but just because they have an electrical license, they're going to get paid more than you. I guarantee you they're last on the chopping block when it comes to layoffs or firing. And guess what? You, at the end of the day, still have to compete with other people who don't have a license, and you're most likely jumping from shop to shop. So that mindset, that mentality of there's no value in getting your license completely has to change. With that, your mindset changing, your habits have to match. So if you're an electrician, if you want to become a journeyman, if you want to become a master electrician, if you want to become a master contractor, you're going to have to do and change your habits. Because if you think you can just show up to work, get a paycheck, that's going to go completely out the window once you become your own contractor. You don't just show up and get paid. There's days where sometimes my wife's upset with me. She'll be like, "You're working for 2 weeks, and what do you mean we have no money?" Sometimes that's just business, where nothing happens. You have to be, if you want to be a contractor, if you want to be a master electrician, you have to show up every day to work, willing to work, even when there is no work, just to get paid. There are days you're going to show up to work. There are days you're going to make calls. There's days you're going to fail jobs. There's days you're going to lose bids. And guess what? You have to show up every day with a smile. You have to show up ready to work, because when that call does come, we all know that things can change just like that. So that's the hardest part, your habits and your mindset for 2026. You have to come in ready for any opportunity that's going to come knocking. I think that's the biggest key for anybody. How about you?
I agree with all of that, and I'd like to piggyback off that a little bit more. Some say licensure doesn't mean anything, or it doesn't mean what it used to be. It doesn't carry the same value. And I'm going to tell you today that licensure is everything. Licensure is everything if you want to move up in career. I don't care what anyone says about unlicensed apprentice or whoever who can run circles around journeymen or contractors. That is not true. That is not true. If we're talking about quality of work, whoop-de-doo. It doesn't it doesn't get you the raise. It doesn't get you off the chopping block. Getting your license is going to take you places where the unlicensed person can't go. And I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. The unlicensed person is going to stay stuck where they are. They're going to continue to do side work, And that may be cool for the 20-year-old who doesn't care about having responsibilities, but it's not cool anymore when you get older that you're still a glorified an apprentice.
Whew.
That's why licensure is so important. It does carry value. It does mean everything. And if you don't get your license, you're going to end up dropping out like a lot of other people do and do something completely different.
Whew. There's so many takeaways from that. And if you guys are driving into work and you're thinking, dang, it's just Monday, or you're tired, you're stopping, you're three coffees deep and it's only 7 o'clock in the morning, you guys have to know that it's worth it. You guys have to genuinely know that it's worth it. And if you're intentional with everything you do, in 4 years, this is no longer going to be a problem for you. You're going to be excited to get up to work. You're going to be excited to run your business. Don't get me wrong, there's bad days. By no means am I just trying to be a like, hey guys, go get your license and it's all rainbows. No, there's days where, Cameron, what are you doing? Then he's like, bro, I got nothing today. And he's like, all right, me either. Hey, Cameron, how you doing? The guy's called out. I now have to show up to work. There's a lot of scrambling,
Mhm.
but it's two different. One is you're reacting to problems and you can handle them. The other is you're reacting to problems where you don't have control. You don't have control of where your boss sends you. You don't have control if your boss decides to fire you today. You understand? It's reactive on a negative side. When you are an electrician, when you are a licensed electrician, you have all the power in the sense where you get to decide if you really want to keep working for this company. You get to decide if you really want to be your own boss and create your own electrical contracting company. You get to decide what type of customers you have. Right now, you just got to shut up and show up where you have to go. And people will be like, well, I don't want the responsibility. Well, bro, you got the responsibility of life still. You still got a family you got to take care of. You still got a mortgage you got to take care of. You still got life you still got taxes you got to take care of. Oh, well, I don't want the responsibility. You still got the rest of life to handle, bro.
Yeah, dude, that's
At
that's
least
childish. That's
exactly. Come on,
childish.
bro.
That's
Come on,
immature.
man.
Oh, I don't want the responsibilities. I don't want to deal with anyone's crap. Dude, you think that's hard? You think that's hard?
Yeah.
Dude, that's nothing. Uh, dude, only an immature young person would say such a thing.
There's just so much out there for you, and we're saying this from a place of we've been there. I'm saying that from a place of I've been there. I try to do it all, and guess what? it Nothing will taste better than you being disciplined enough, you having intentions in what you want to do, and just owning up to responsibility and being disciplined about it, changing your habits, understanding that, hey, maybe if I get my license, that doesn't mean you have to be your own boss. That doesn't mean you have to be a foreman. But guess what? Now you have more control to do whatever you want. And I think that's what people have to start recognizing. And I know we wanted to talk about this, where just showing up to work doesn't mean progress. There's that phrase Denzel Washington said. He said, don't confuse movement with progress, because you can be running on a treadmill and you go nowhere. And that's what I see a lot of contractors. They keep focusing on, well, I do the best work. I do the best work. That doesn't mean you know how to communicate. I do the best work. I do the best work. Don't lower your prices. That doesn't mean you can handle problems when they come up. That doesn't mean you can handle your own finances. That doesn't mean you're the smartest guy in the room. I've been doing this for 30 years. Doesn't mean you've been doing it right for 30 years. Don't confuse movement with progress. Don't confuse, I just been doing this for 30 years, as that means everything you've been doing has been God sent. You're not the next wonderful thing close to sliced bread. You have to understand that movement, progress comes with discipline, comes with consistency, and not just showing up. What do you think about that? Too many people are just showing up to work looking for that check, do the bare minimum.
Yeah, showing up to work is life 101. Show up on time. If you can show up on work to time, you've passed the first test of maintaining a job. If that's all you're concerned about is showing up and getting your paycheck, that sounds like union talk to me. I know many guys who are in the union and they complain about all their coworkers and how like horrible they are. They don't care. Well, you get what you pay for, kinda.
I
So
remember. I remember myself. That's funny that you brought that up. I remember there was days I would be sick. There would be days, and this is when I worked for the union. They said, "Bro, all you got to do is just show up, and we'll take care of you. All you got to do is show up, clock in, and then you can get an easy day." That was the wildest part. The hardest part about the union was just showing up. Everything else is cakewalk. So I just thought that was pretty funny.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
but it's the truth.
yeah. So showing up to work is the first step. Secondly, if you want to move past that, you have to learn how to communicate. You have to do other things that you aren't forced to do, like communication, like self development, professional skills, right? Just showing up to work, that's only going to get you so far. All right. And if that's all you're concerned about, then you're gonna just be like all those other dudes that you see, you know?
And do you think that starts, or when you come start showing up to work, that comes from a place of just being comfortable in what you do, right? You, let's say you've been with this company 2, 3, 4 years. Let's say you don't have your license, but you know you're a good worker. You People don't understand, and I want to make this clear. If you're an electrician and if you've been working for your company for 2, 3, 4 years and you don't have an electrical license, but you do journeyman work, that company owner, that boss, freaking loves you because I'm getting 45 to $50 an hour worth of work out of you for pennies. The reason why we tell you go for your license, do good work, look to get your license, take schooling, take classes, is so you can get compensated. When you start going into work and you think showing up is enough and you think doing great work's enough, guess what? They're going to give you more responsibilities. They're going to give you more on your plate. They're going to tell you run a job, do this by yourself, do live work by yourself, run this project by yourself. And I'm only paying you 16, 17, 18 bucks an hour. And I don't need to get a journeyman now. Shoot, bro, I'll keep you from the way you are right now. You're less of a cost for me. And you want to do great work? Awesome. I'll give you a pizza party and a pat on the back every week. If you want to do it, if you'll run my business, 18 bucks an hour, I'll give you a pizza party and I'll say, good boy, you did great work. And then you can use that and run off to the sunset with it. I don't, bro, that makes no sense. Stop. Why are so many people comfortable with just saying, I do good work? That's what we have to see differently, I think. So if
If
you
you
guys are heading into work, if you guys are more than 4 or 5 years in the industry and you don't have your license, I want you, one, to genuinely think about what are you doing? Because it's not about responsibility. Because if you're married, you have a wife you're responsible for. You got taxes you're responsible. You have a home. You have a car. You got people that's responsible for you, that you're responsible for. If it's because you don't want the stress that comes with it, okay, you're going to have stress when it comes with lack of money. You understand? You're going to be stressing on paying your bills. You're going to be stressing when you want to take your girl out for a meal, your kids out. There's going to always be stress and there's always going to be responsibilities tied to anything. And it all stems from you being comfortable. How can you, as a grown man or woman, wake up and decide, hey, I don't want to go for this because they're going to tell me to work more? We need to get out of that mindset, that comfortable state of mind before it causes more damage, I think, to the industry. What are you seeing out there, Cameron? I know you work for some companies and I know you worked on your own. What are you seeing out there? What's the temperature like when it comes to being comfortable?
in Tennessee, it's different from most states. So a lot of what happens in this state doesn't apply to somewhere like California or the East Coast. There's no journeyman card. There's no formal apprenticeship unless you go union route. It's anyone can work for a company under a licensed contractor and you can get your LLE or your CE. That's basically the extent of it. But just so we can have this conversation, I still call people apprentices and journeymen just to categorize them based on their skill level. So to kind of reiterate what you already said earlier, if you're an electrician and you're a if you're an electrician and you're journeyman level as far as your skill set and your knowledge, and you don't have your license, your boss owns you. You do realize that, right? Your boss owns you. Your company owns you. You can't just get up and leave. If you have your journeyman card, if you have your master electrician's license, you can get up and walk away, and there's tons of opportunities for you elsewhere if you don't like where you're at. But if you're going to keep coasting along because you don't need the license or I don't want those responsibilities, guess what? You're going to get you're going to reap what you sow. You're going to get the reward of that, which is minimum pay, crappy jobs, crappy work, and that's what separates the boys from the men.
I love that. You hit it on the head. And then there goes the people where they just complain about what the industry is, or that's just the way it is. Oh, it's too difficult in my state. Oh, it's not worth it. They don't pay different. You know, what we have to recognize, especially how we can tie up the beginning of our podcast, where we talked about how do we make this year different? We have to go in with changing our mindset. We have to go in thinking, what can we do differently this year? What is in our control? Because if we keep focusing on what the industry, what our bosses tell us, why is it so difficult? Why is it not worth it? You're just looking at reasons. It's basically just an excuse at the end of the day. You're looking at reasons on why not to get better. And once again, like what we mentioned before, it's only hurting you if you do this. It doesn't hurt your boss. No, your boss gets to still pay you little. You know what I mean? He still gets to pay you on the dime, just like what Cameron said. If you have an attitude one day and you decide not to show up, all right, he can fill you up with another laborer. You're the one who has to fight another laborer to find a job, you know? So, what are some things that we can do today? Once again, if you're driving into work, guys, if you're an electrician, and you're driving into work, I want you to stop for a second. And I want you to genuinely figure out how much more time you need before you can get your journeyman license or your master's license. I want you to document those hours. I want you to start practicing. It can be one a month. Just practice some test prep questions. Ask to shadow your journeyman. You don't even need to run the job. Just watch how he handles something. And then look for one habit that you want to change today. Like Cameron mentioned, showing up on time. Maybe you're 5-10 minutes. If my guys start at 8 o'clock, should they be showing up to the shop at 8 o'clock? Or should they be here at 7:45 hitting the roads at 8 o'clock? I don't know the legal answer for that, first of all. You know what I mean? I don't know the legal answer. But we all agree that we should show up a little bit before, right? We've all been there. I don't know if HR is listening and they're like, well, technically now you got to pay them. I don't know that. All I know is you got to warm up the van. You got to make sure you know what you're going to do for the day. If you want to go grab that cup of coffee, you got to do all of that before you show up to work. No one wants to hang out at the shop anyway. You get in that van and you out. So with that in mind, Cameron, what are some things you think people can do today to change some of these habits? It doesn't have to be marathons overnight. No, we're saying these things. It's still January. We still got a whole year. We just want to make sure last year doesn't repeat itself. So what are some things that you think people can start working towards?
Yeah. So I think habits, when you change, okay, let me start over. I think when you change your habits, that's going to have natural effects down the road. So showing up on time. Again, if you're 5-10 minutes late, start showing up 5-10 minutes early or 15 minutes early. If you aren't self-studying on your own time, that's going to make a huge difference on how fast you can advance, or at least how much you know, to be a better electrician. Just little things here and there, changing your habits, that's going to change the person you are for the better. And you're going to want to go get your license. You're going to want that. So I understand that maybe there isn't a desire for some individuals, and you can't just hit a switch and that changes. But if you start changing your habits, just like with a diet, right? I want sugar, I want caffeine. And if you're wanting to get off that stuff, guess what? The first day sucks. That's like the worst day because you are changing what your body is used to.
You'll
You
even
want,
get headaches. You'll even get
oh yeah,
headaches. You'll be
you'll want to go
zoned
to
out.
sleep. You'll want to go to
Yep.
sleep. So there has to be that inner desire, even though it sucks. Be like, hey, I'm going to change these habits. Once you go that day or two without your caffeine or your sugar, your body doesn't need it anymore. It's crazy how fast it can happen. But the upfront the upfront
Investment. Oh,
investment or pain you have to go through is not easy, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Once you get past that little hump in the very beginning, your body wants good food. Your body wants natural things. You don't want all that bull crap that you used to want. I can't tell you the last time I ate McDonald's or Taco Bell. It's been like over a year since I touched that food.
yeah. And sure or not, whenever one of us pig out and we tell each other, we're like, it's instant regret right afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. If I pig out, I'm like, dang, why'd I do that? You know? So I think using that as kind of an example or a metaphor, when we talk about our career, we talk about our industry, and we talk about us, how can we do better? It's changing the little habits that are going to really affect you long term. There's all kinds of books out there you can read about, you know, what wealthy people do for, you know, their habits or what effective people do. There's all kinds of stuff out there for that, but I'm just telling you, you look at me, I'm just a dude in Tennessee. Okay. I'm nobody. I'm nothing special, but there came a point in my life where I started changing my habits a little bit and I stopped listening to all the negativity. I don't know if you want to call that a habit, but
Oh,
I
heck
stopped
no.
I stopped listening to all the garbage that I didn't even agree with inwardly, but outwardly I'm like, yeah, you're right, you know, that's too hard. Yeah, you're right, that's not worth it. But inside I'm like, I want that though. But then
Mm,
I kept listening to the negativity and then just kept putting things off and off and off. And then when I said, screw that, I'm going to do what I want to do, everything ended up just working out.
I love that. And I think if you're an electrician and you're heading into work today, that just that thought, just hearing this is enough for you to start thinking, what can you do differently? And that's the purpose of today's episode. You know, we're here to build builders, we're here to build leaders, and we need you guys to understand. So if you guys have a moment, drop it in the chat, drop it in the comments. Let us know, what is one thing that you want to change this year? What is one goal that you have for this year? And if there's anything that we can do, just feel free to let us know. But we appreciate you all. Cameron, you want to close it out for us?
Yeah, thanks for listening as always. And if you ever want to chat, just hit either one of us up. We're both on Instagram a lot. So you can DM us and we'd love to chat more about what you have going on.
Everybody, have a good Monday. Have a good day to the week. Remember, don't let today mess up your week. Don't let this week mess up your month. Don't let this month mess up your quarter. Don't let this quarter mess up your year. So start it off hard, guys. Appreciate you guys. Good night.